Welcome to Innovation in the Burg, the podcast where science, innovation, and community come together right here in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're curious about the amazing people and projects shaping our city's future, you're in the right place. I'm Alison Barlow, CEO of the St. Pete Innovation District, and I'm joined today by Dr. Kanika Tomalin, the president and CEO of the Foundation for Healthy St. Pete. As a visionary civic leader, Dr. Tomalin was one of the founders of the Innovation District. And as we celebrate our 10th anniversary, I'm excited to talk to her about the district's origins, how we're doing, and what her hopes are for the future. Welcome.
Hey, Allison, I'm so happy to be here. This is one of my favorite topics.
I so love talking to you about it because you have such insights into those early conversations that you've told me the stories, but I love when other people hear the stories.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's start first with your roots in St. Pete because they're deep. 5th generation St. Petersburg native. That's incredible. How have you seen the city evolve, especially around the idea of innovation, inclusivity, and things like that?
So it's interesting. I am a native, but I'm the 5th generation of my family to call St. Pete home. My grandfather's grandmother came to St. Pete looking for opportunity, looking for a safe haven to raise her son and her grandson, and just really was trying to find a place that they could thrive right around the time of the railroad construction.
Oh.
And it's wild because the arc of my family really follows the arc of the city as it relates to inclusivity, opportunity creation, and a cohesive vision for what St. Pete could be. You know, I think about my great-great-great-grandmother's experience here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she lived in the area that we now call the Historic Gas Plant District.
Oh, interesting.
And I have nearly 250 relatives in Pinellas County. Huge family. And she just really was looking for a place they could thrive.
Right.
And I'm so honored to now contribute to that. You know, I don't think she could have ever imagined that 2 of her grandchildren would serve as deputy mayor, lead the city, help craft its vision. And so it's just such an honor to be here and invest in my hometown.
Well, and you've worn many hats in your journey, especially here in St. Pete, journalist, healthcare executive, deputy mayor, and now the CEO of the foundation. What do you think is the common thread that connects all these experiences?
So 2 things. I am a lover of stories and the power of people and their stories. I believe that a city is its people. And in all of my work, I'm trying to honor the stories that comprise this wonderful place. So it's all about engineering opportunity, honoring people in their journeys, and creating new pathways where everyone can thrive.
I so wish, in hindsight, that I had done like a journalism major or a writing because the people I know are such good storytellers. That is such your secret magic sauce.
It is such a wonderful skill to really curate and develop to be able to connect with people about their stories and follow it as a through line to everything that's happening. Yeah. It all comes back to the people who are involved and the stories that bring them to that moment.
So let's do a little storytelling on the Innovation District. It was started in 2016, but I know that there were conversations even before that. So tell us a little bit. Take us back to those conversations. What was the origin?
So the origin story of the Innovation District is very little known. It actually began, my last work for Bayfront Health System, where I was a C-suite executive, was to lead strategy.
Yeah.
And it actually began as a strategy to differentiate Bayfront in a very crowded healthcare landscape.
Yeah.
We were a single hospital system, not a part of any other local system, and we needed to find a way to communicate to the community the significance of what was happening at Bayfront. And so the idea of Bayfront's unique proximity to these other institutions was an idea that I brought to Sue Brody and we tried to work on. And so initially it was very much a singularly focused competitive advantage differentiator for Bayfront. But as we got into it and I began to really research innovation districts, understand their possibility, look at the city's capacity, it was very clear. It was an idea that was much bigger than one institution. And so we had to give it away. We needed to expand it, expand the value proposition and make it something that would lift the whole city.
Yeah.
And so I set about doing that work. And this is where a unique qualifier of St. Pete and the way we work together around collective empowerment really came into play. So many people are connected and interconnected to different avenues. members of our board also sit on the St. Pete Downtown Partnership
Is that how they got
board.
involved?
Yes. And so
Yeah.
they know the story. Peter Betzer
Yep.
was the head of the partnership at that time, and he's married to Dr. Susan Betzer, who was a longtime Bayfront physician. And so the emotional infrastructure of caring about Bayfront's future was there,
Yeah.
and we were able to bring these various partners to the table. I brought something from our earliest days that I found the other day
Oh, my goodness.
that shows. So this is 2012, Allison.
I didn't realize it went that far back.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
knew it was before 16, but not 4 years.
I started thinking about it in 11, trying to put together this larger group to share the vision in 2012. You'll see those names are like some oldies but goodies.
I mean, Jeff Hearn, Tanya
Yeah.
Elmore, Peter Betzer, Larry Langbrake, Sophia
Wisniewska.
I always mispronounce it. Helen Levine, Rob Kapusta, Jay Miller, Lisa Robbins, Beth Herradine, Karen Dunlap, Rick Baker, Amy McGuire, and Catherine Gillette.
That was the first table.
Wow.
So this is right after Bayfront was acquired. Kathy Gillette was the new president. It was one of the things I put at the top of the list that we had to pursue. And we were bringing minds together that we thought would embrace this idea of innovation in St. Pete and serving not as only a differentiator for Bayfront, but a differentiator for that entire area and just the city overall.
Well, and I'm going to go a little off because when I walked in the door, first of all, the conversations we had early on, I so appreciated because you were very candid with me. People always ask me how I ended up in this job. I'm like, it was a Facebook post. That is it. But I do remember I walked in the door and there was a job description and let's say it had 7 items on it. And 6 of them I was like, I got. But the 7th was economic development. And I had done no economic development in my life. And I walked in and I said, okay, I don't know anything about this, but I can figure it out, and here's how I might. But if you care about this, then I'm not your right person. And I appreciate you guys were like, well, we certainly want you to learn, but connecting people and community was number one.
Absolutely. And we needed a visionary.
Yeah.
I mean, Allison, you were perfect for this role. We were so excited for your interest because we needed a visionary who could grab an idea and create an audacious aspiration and recruit people to the idea. Honestly, like if we're intellectually honest, what we thought for the Innovation District is nothing like what it is today. We couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the work that it's doing and the directions in which it's going, its trajectory are really so inspiring. We were hoping to make the most of the assets that were there.
Okay.
It's gone so far beyond that it's a cradle of creativity.
Right.
It's where new assets are imagined. It's where the city's brightest future is conceived. And we knew that if we put that in your hands, you would put the pieces together.
Oh, that's so sweet. Because at the time I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And I remember the conversation also being around, hey, we have this 3-year commitment. And we know that we've got the partners on board for 3 years. We're not sure what's going to happen. And I came out of consulting. I'm like, a 3-year project? That's like a lifetime. So it didn't scare me. But that was really interesting. So, those early conversations of what the city, because you moved quickly, to be the deputy mayor.
2014.
And I credit you. You took this idea kind of with you and got the city behind it as well.
It was one of the reasons I accepted the invitation to serve as deputy mayor.
Oh.
There were some key initiatives that were just kind of fledgling. Some great work happening at the chamber, this idea of a collective movement that became Grow Smarter.
Grow Smarter, yeah.
The Innovation District. Creating a culture of health. These were all kind of parallel, the Warehouse Arts District, all these fledgling ideas that I was very fortunate to be a part of. The architecture and the platform of deputy mayor and going to the city to help build the city's next chapter. I thought, what a better way. There's no better way.
Right, because you were in the right
into
spot.
these ideas. Yeah. So it was actually a condition to Rick Kreisman's credit. He welcomed every bright idea and said, I'm happy to come serve, but I want to breathe some life into these things that are happening, but with the city's platform and the city's prioritization and backing, city being the capital C.
Yeah.
It'll go to a whole new level.
Well,
and we saw that with every one of those things.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't do them without the city.
That's right.
So many people will say, the Innovation District is a city entity. And I'm like, no, we're fortunate enough to have city support. but we are our own entity, which creates an agility and a capability that is
Absolutely.
independent. But I don't see how any innovation district could be successful without a city partner.
That's right. And the city was always at the table. They were always responsive, but we needed to drive it to
Yeah.
go to the next level, to take it from bright idea to concrete reality that is driving transformation in the city.
What do you recall as the broader community reaction to the innovation district at that point?
So there was, it was all about relationships.
Okay.
We had deep equity in relationships, we being Bayfront,
Right.
that and involvement from the people around this table, that they would buy into the idea.
Okay.
You know, uh, they weren't quite sure about it.
Mm.
It was new. Nobody around that table had participated. We had SRI there,
Yeah.
Larry Langbrick, who's very familiar. But it was like, okay, we're going to honor our long-term relationship and come try to make something of this idea. But there was a little skepticism and not a real understanding of the value proposition and what it could be. We
Right.
developed that over time.
Yeah, and to your point, I think we're constantly reevaluating that.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten really clear in some areas of the district, and then in other topics, they continue to evolve.
Sure.
Like one of the early aspirations, I think, was the connectivity between ocean and human health.
Absolutely.
And we've seen small successes in that, some really interesting collective research and connectivity.
Yes.
But I think that's an untapped potential.
Absolutely. So that's that warm, salty, wet.
Yeah.
We're both working in wet labs, trying to figure this out, trying to go to next levels. We want to infuse intellectual capitalism into our community that doesn't exist. This is wonderful. We just become strong partners with Hopkins.
Yeah.
And there was all opportunity there. So that was a fledgling idea. But we were also very focused on hardscape logistics. Like, how can we share a chiller?
Yes,
You
yes.
know, how can we share expenses? We are a little bit too tangible in our thinking about it, too constrained around the very tangible ways neighbors can cooperate. That's certainly an important part,
Right.
but it's the least of it, actually,
Yeah.
when you think about the potential for an innovation district and what it can become and what it is becoming.
Well, and I think you guys were smart to use the Innovation District model because I know you explored some different constructs.
Yes.
And the Innovation District model has this conversation about place assets,
Yes.
the economic assets, the businesses, the incubators, the accelerators, and then the networking assets.
So critical.
And it takes you from that tangible to that abstract within the model.
To aspiration and vision.
Mhm.
And it was the asset we had the most of in a
Right.
very beautiful way over the course of a century. These amazing institutions that anchor our community all developed in this small proximity.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Right there, you have university and research. We had Hopkins, we had Bayfront, we had museums, journalism institutes.
Yeah.
I mean, so the networking, the sense of placemaking, social connectivity, and community context was a strength and a huge part of the Innovation District, a huge part of the philosophy of the city's vision overall is how do we optimize our strengths and mitigate constraints? And the Innovation District is a wonderful engine for that.
Well, one of the things that I know that you were helpful on most specifically was laying the groundwork for some of these creative uses of space. So if we talk about the Johns Hopkins Research and Education Building, where we have the library restaurant in the first floor, right? Never been done before in our
So
community.
critical.
Talk a little bit about what that was like.
Well, Allison, before the library, right? People basically came into what we refer to as the Innovation District as a destination.
Yeah.
They came to the appointment they were there for or the meeting they were there for, and they exited.
Yep.
If they needed lunch or there was an amenity they sought or there was any type of thing outside of that purpose, they were going to some other part of the city that had been activated in that way.
Yeah.
So we knew we needed to create a sense of stickiness, something that draws people to this district if they have no business there so that they can be a part of the business there. And that's what that's all about. We wanted to create that feeling of a town square where we have our community's brightest minds come together every day. But we didn't want them to go into their cubby holes and work in silos.
Right.
We want them to come together, have great collisions of creativity and ideas and innovation and see where that could take us as a community.
And I love the library, particularly pre-COVID, but you're seeing it turn back again now post a while, is that you can walk in there and you'll have the head of one of the hospitals. You'll see some leader from downtown. You'll see somebody you're working on a project with
Yes.
from the university.
Yes.
All together. And like,
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
I've walked into the library and I've walked out with 4 meetings.
Yes. It's,
it's
3
like
the coffee shop, right?
And closing the loop. And that is it.
That
is the point. These third spaces,
Yeah.
Something that brings us together, that really underscores the excellence that unfolds on that corridor every day and throughout that entire district.
Well, and you used a word I love, which is the stickiness.
Yeah.
I love that word because people have options. They have
Sure.
so many places they can be. And you and Mayor Kreisman were so important in helping us repurpose the old SRI building to create the Maritime and Defense Tech Hub, which was all about creating a sticky place for technology.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, one of the best things to happen in our city in decades.
Yeah.
It is so amazing, and what a powerful vision. It really is bringing in so much intellectual capital from outside of our community, helping people choose our community because of the connections that they can make in a space, in a place. It goes so far beyond walls, but because they are together in these walls, it can come into being. It's really wonderful, and the exact illustration of the possibility of the Innovation District.
Well, and it's such a great illustration in 2 ways that come to mind. One is that we not only recruited folks from outside the community, we got people to come back who grew up here.
Yes.
Who were like, hey, I can bring my business that's a national business here. I'm thinking of Pat Mack in particular.
Me
we
too.
all love Pat.
Exactly.
So cheers, Pat.
Yes.
But that's an example of somebody grew up in South St. Pete, came back kind of in part because family issues, in part because he had a place to bring his business.
And at some point in the development of his career, thought it might be a sacrifice to his career to have to come back. The Maritime Defense Hub turns that on its head.
Yeah.
It's all about possibility, opportunity, and he has done all sorts of things that he would have never cast St. Pete as a character in his story in that way without that existing. That's the power of it. And that's the story of it.
Yeah.
We talked about the power of stories. His story brought him back. His story made him care about this place, and his story will help shape what St. Pete will be for future generations.
Well, and you hit on the other part that was so interesting to me when you were talking about the hub was similar to sort of the origin story, the thoughtfulness that had to change around the origin story of the district because you saw the opportunity.
Yes.
I call it the randomness of my employment. It was the conversation about the Innovation District repurposing that building was a series of phone calls because we were kind of at the tail end of COVID, so we were doing everything virtual. And it was one of those, we have these amazing companies, nobody wants the whole building. How do we make this possible? And the trust that the city staff had in us to say, we're willing to give you a chance to turn this into something magical. And us going, yeah, we're just going to do it.
Yes.
And it wasn't like this we had a business plan, we had projections, but honestly, there was a lot of like unknowns.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah, you have to have trust.
Yes, to move along that margin of excellence from good to great to iconic as a city, you definitely have to have trust, and you have to have an audacious aspiration, something that does not exist. We have to make it, set a common shared goal, and then work toward it. So we were energized by that vision and by that possibility. And the fact that it isn't there yet is wonderful because it's all opportunity.
Right.
It's all opportunity, and we can create it. That's what the Innovation District is. It calls creators, into a space and invites and dares them to dream.
That's such a great way to put it.
And meets them with the resources that it takes to turn those dreams into realities that benefit not only their vision, but begins to exponentially multiply as a catalytic enzyme that feeds the vision of others. It's really wonderful and such an important thing to have in a city.
Yeah, and that brings us sort of looking forward. You bring up a really good point, and particularly with the purview now that you're working. When I first came in and people were like, innovation in St. Pete and innovation in our community doesn't just happen in that geography. And I was like, you're exactly right.
Yes.
And we've been intentional to reach out of the geographical boundaries, right?
We must.
What do you hope to see from the Innovation District in the future?
Well, I hope that the Innovation District will continue its steady momentum of creating and providing space, a sense of place, but also an invitation beyond its boundaries,
Mhm.
as you're saying, to be relevant to all of the ways the city is advancing.
Okay.
That people understand and see themselves in the innovation district. I think it's very important that it always has a sense of place, but we want to be a connected series of small communities that come together to create a larger one that has relevance and reliable inclusion
Yeah.
for people across the city.
Mhm.
So there's nothing exclusive
Right.
about the fact that it has geographic boundaries. Those boundaries are designed to be stretched, to be tested, to be expanded in the ways that the great work that comes out of them is applied. So I think I would just love to see the Innovation District be the type of model that we look to when we were trying to create one for ourselves.
Yeah, I think you're so right. And I always say to people, the Innovation District has that geographical home base
Sure,
that gives it the momentum to be able to do these other things.
that's
I'm
right.
so thankful to our board of directors and the anchor institutions because there's many projects where we say this is the right thing to do, not just for the Innovation District, but for whether it's the city or the region. And they're like, yes, we will fuel
Absolutely.
that. We will make that happen.
And we must,
Yeah.
and as we continue to evaluate our target industries and understand the places that we might most grow effectively and efficiently, the Innovation District can be such a point of information for that.
Yeah.
Really, it's about possibility. And so that's been a challenge we've had from the beginning, making sure that those who are outside of that geographic boundary understand the importance and their role in it.
Yes.
And I think it'll be a task that all of us who care about St. Pete will have to continue to really focus on to make sure we're reaching the possibilities and opportunities for the city overall.
I agree. And I think that that means, even within the district, us to look internally and say, are we doing everything we should be doing?
Right.
Are we on target? And hearing from our partners that go, maybe you should tweak in this way. Maybe have you looked at this opportunity? I appreciate that dialogue that we've always had
Yes.
when you're like, hey, Allison, consider this problem. I'm like, okay, which I love. I think that's so easy for us to get too myopic and then you
Absolutely.
just get so caught in your own world.
From the beginning, we've had to give the Innovation District away
Yeah.
for it to reach its
I
fullest
love that. I
potential.
don't think I've ever heard you say that before, but that's so perfect. We
Yeah.
are giving it away. It's our gift to the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
the opposite of exclusion or exclusivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? We have used up our time, if you can believe it. We always have this problem. We can keep going
Well,
forever.
I'm just so glad to be able to sit down with you and thank the staff and thank everybody who continues to move it forward. It's so wonderful. There is no doubt that when we look back at this time of the city to figure out what worked well, the Innovation District will be right at the core of that, a key component of the things that we got right. And I'm so grateful for the way that you steward the vision and move it forward every day.
Well, and I so appreciate, first of all, your idea, the idea that created the glimmer, that then created the conversation, that then created the entity. Because without that, and then your, thoughtfulness about how you could help it get shaped when you connected it to the city, and because that wouldn't have happened otherwise. I mean,
Right.
it just wouldn't have moved forward.
Yeah, it would be the small little thing that
Right.
touched the people who were involved. And by
Yeah.
design, the only reason for those people to be involved was to touch everybody else.
Yeah. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your leadership. So I thank Dr. Tomlin for being with us, and I want to just mention, mark your calendars for State of Science and Innovation that we do every January, as well as the St. Pete Science Festival every February. Those events and more, including our 10th anniversary celebrations, are found on our website, stpeteinnovationdistrict.com. If there's anything else that you want to learn about the district, please check out our website, including our 2024 Impact Report. You can see how we judged our success and our opportunities over the first couple of years. Thanks for tuning in and for being part of this incredible innovation story here in St. Pete. We'll see you next time.